The deal is this. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real dope. Dude, I'm pissed. Dude, I'm pissed. Come on. What? Okay, by the time we finish this, you're all going to be practicing magicians.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I are covering every issue of Grant Morrison's new X-Men from 2001. We are in the middle of an arc. Riot at Xavier's is the name of it.
It's true that there are cleaner ways to have said that sentence, but
well, let's go through and dissect
yes.
every one of your podcasts, Gary. How about that? Let's go do that. Let's see if you've ever flubbed an intro before. But yeah, we were in the middle of Riot at Xavier's. We're actually on part 2. We have some rebellious teenagers, specifically Quentin Quire, that are all hopped up on the new mutant drug kick and are challenging Xavier's ideas and have formed themselves a gang that they are calling the New Mutants.
Or the New X-Men.
The New X-Men, sorry. Yeah, the New Mutants.
AKA also the Omega Gang. They kind of go back and forth between those two things.
They're teens. They're allowed to have several names, right?
Yeah. Teen is a good time to try on some identity, and they'll talk about that in this issue. Real good arc. We're going to be finishing up during this recording session, and then starting the next arc, which is also starts with a really good issue.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun sesh.
The key here, I think, or not the key, but the B plot going on is that Zorn has taken the loser class of the Xavier's Institute on a field trip, and we're going to talk about the cover for a little bit, and then we'll pick up with some of Zorn, some of that stuff. Yeah, Quietly is back.
Oh yeah, baby, and he's been back for this arc, and he's doing some of his best work.
Yeah.
Other than drawing Wolverine as Ultimate Wolverine with the violent femme style soul patch.
I love it.
I struggle with it, gotta say.
There's a live concert from the Violent Femmes and from like the early 80s where the dude looks a lot like this with the soul patch, and as someone who's never seen those dudes live and like really likes a lot of that music, boy is that concert fucking fabulous. But yeah.
Well, is a Violent Feminem something?
Sure.
The mashup band?
Yeah, sure.
Is that something?
It's like Lizzo's alternate ego, where she just smashes, when she just like releases diss tracks of Eminem and like Machine Gun Kelly or whoever the latest white rapper is.
The cover for this is actually really clever because it's like the cover for the issue, but it's a poster on the wall that has been graffitied over.
Yeah.
I think this is a cool cover.
Yeah, I do too.
For sure.
It's pretty basic in like the composition of like the poster, but it still looks really, really good. So
yeah. So we'll get into it. When we left the special class camping, the U-Men, we're kind of looking at them, and we're going to check in on the U-Men. Just because John Sublime got thrown out of a window doesn't mean the cult ended. Like, he still wrote this book that is hugely influential. And we have this location. It just says U-Man Central. Which I don't know. I think it's a parking garage later. And they are preparing to do a harvest. They're talking about how, when one of their U-Men dies from rejections, it is a joyous occasion because they all like vultures gather around him and claim parts of his body.
Yes. I love the question, do we all get a bit of him, or is it just the group leaders?
Yeah.
So gross.
So nasty. Bob wasn't pure enough for his implants, but we are.
Yeah.
So nasty.
And they are literally like reading the John Sublime's book during this, right? Like they have all of the suits on, like their fallen comrade is like naked in a tank, and they're about to like cut him up. They're about to do an autopsy and steal all of his parts. When a Scooby-Doo van comes in and smashes it to the table, smashes it to the wall.
What a good title splash.
Yeah,
this is again just like Quitely's action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love this so much. Knocking the corpse out of the thing, and this is the Omega Gang. This is the new X-Men.
Yep,
coming out to fuck up a bunch of U-Men.
Which like is kind of like, you know, hey, where are the X-Men at with some of this, right? Like, why are the X-Men not hunting down all of these? I mean, look, they don't have to murder them. I'm just saying, like, if there's a bunch of U-Men out there, why haven't they been hunting down the U-Men that are left over? So
seems like you shouldn't leave the U-Men around.
Exactly.
And again, I mean, I feel like an idiot because the first time I read this arc, I didn't really put together the parallels that it's drawing and the kind of foreshadowing it's doing with Zorn, right? Because the same story kind of happens here. The U-Men are the aggressors, but we'll get to that moment later where Zorn also is like, no, these guys got to go. You know, that is some really clever foreshadowing of these two characters, like having this character who's clearly coded to be acting inappropriately, largely by the amount of eyeshadow he's wearing. And the Quentin Quire, and, you know, he's the villain of this arc, but then we also have Zorn doing basically the same thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Later.
And Quentin Quire is basically saying, like, why do you even want to be like us? It's like, it's not easy. We get exterminated. People murder our artists. You know, you people cut out our organs and stick them in your own diseased bodies. And like, our teachers teach us not to do anything about that. Like, why would you want to be us? Yeah. There's this great, he leans in and the guy says, don't hurt me. Like, he's obviously scared. And he whispers in his ear, agree with me, which I love that touch. Like, it's very sadistic. Mm-hmm. They pull off his mask. He's saying, this is my religion. I can't breathe air until it's perfect. Please, this is really serious. And we get this little combo move that the first time we see it, where Redneck, whose hands turn into a kind of a heater, get really hot, melts bits of Glob Herman's wax skin, this bioparaffin, and basically, like, I don't know, like, this pretty nasty. Pours molten wax all over this guy's face to burn his face off. Creates the nun from Blasphemous, right? Like, this is what he's doing. The U-Man of the charred visage. You know? Okay, but what if we'd had an X-Men themed Blasphemous? What if, Gary, like, remove the church, installed Xavier in the top of that, and just like recreate Blasphemous but with X-Men characters, and I would be here for it.
Way into it. Way into it.
And I like as this is all happening, Quentin is of course giving a villain speech, and he's like, you know, you're not a religion, you're a cannibal freak who met some like-minded losers in a seedy chat room and proceeded to create a do-it-yourself species using pieces of my people. Like, he's got a kind of a righteous indignation thing happening.
Well, he's totally got a point. Like, the U-Men are the most 4chan of anything that's ever shown up in the X-Men. So
it's true.
You know, he's basically right. Like, they are a Reddit group. If Reddit had been around when this arc came out, I'm sure that would have been part of it.
Sure. Yeah.
Nice little segue, you know, as they're melting this guy's face off, incredibly dark, we cut over to a laptop where other U-Men are asking for guidance because these are the U-Men that have stumbled upon the special class.
Yep. And this is U-Man Patrol calling U-Man Central, and I just find that very funny. But of course they're not responding, and the guys in the woods are like, oh, that was that funeral, and they're spying on Beak and Angel literally having sex in the woods and talking about how disgusting it looks and how gross it is.
It's like the Discovery Channel. Like, these things are subhuman to them, these mutants.
Yeah, and like some really gross descriptions, like the chick's wobbling like a rubber glove filled with milk, and just ugh.
Yeah,
like just the middle picture of that. Not even talking about Angel, but just like literally a glove filled with milk, just really like sets my teeth on edge.
Imagine shaking that hand.
No,
you reach out and then the milk's warm, or cold.
It's got to be how it feels to how to shake like Reed Richards' hand, right? Like, or Plastic Man. Like, he just squeezes it, and it's like, all of a sudden Stephen Colbert starts talking to you with that voice.
Like, well, until he quits because the Venture Brothers is beneath him.
Sure, yeah.
What a dick. So they're watching this. They can't get an answer from U-Man Central. They chalk it up to the funeral, and they say, like, hey, I just checked the website. It is our right and duty to harvest these mutants.
And importantly,
the younger the better.
They say Master John told them that, so maybe giving us a clue that Sublime is not quite maybe as dead as we thought he was.
Yeah. So we cut over to Angel and Beak. They're clothed, but it is canonical that they have fucked.
Yes.
Here they put their clothes back on, and she's kind of grinding him. And Beak is it's basically like that when you nut, but you keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Please stop.
I can't do this anymore. You're coming on too strong. Also, refractory periods. Like, I understand we're young, but you have to understand this. It's real.
Yeah, you got to give it me at least the 2 minutes, right? Like I'm like 16 right now. It only takes 2 minutes, but I need my 120 seconds.
but if it doesn't feel good for a second. It feels really bad. Like, it's just biology.
And then I love this thing because he's like, please, like, where is all the romance? Like, what if somebody catches us out here? And she's like, nobody's ever going to even come out here. Like, what is it? And then at that point, like, a spotlight shines on him, and Beak just goes, "Thank God."
I love that moment so much. This is a Beak again, MVP, very funny,
absolutely
funny arc. There. So we cut over to the campfire from where they've snuck by. Basilisk again, another MVP. Saying, Mr. Zorn, I saw you sneaking a peek at No Girl's sexy fat butt just a moment previous. I love just a moment previous, like the kind of
right after sexy fat butt. Like, it's a good combination of
just a few whiffins past.
And the kids are asking Zorn, like, what are we gonna do now that we're out here? And he's like, we are. This is us doing things. Like, I thought we would meditate or we would learn something about ourselves. And he brings off the jackass sign that he's been wearing since they left the school. And he's like, I can't tell if you were trying to be funny or if you're trying to be cruel. And it's
a sad moment. Like, it is actually like legitimately kind of sad. And then Basilisk undercuts it, of course.
With the meditate, doesn't that make you blind?
Yeah. And this awkward, sad moment of like letting down a teacher who is idealistic, which is a pretty relatable and horrible feeling, gets interrupted by Beak and Angel yelling that they're U-Men and running away from the U-Men. And this causes this huge mass panic. Martha starts trying to fly away in her anti-grav thing. She's the brain in the jar on a leash. The U-Men cut away her body. She's frightened. And the U-Men just use their awesome, razor gun thing. And one of them just says harvest and shoots these razors out.
Notably hitting, what's the gas dude's name? I've already forgotten.
Dummy,
who is basically in like a scuba suit, but is like a sentient gas. It cuts.
Maybe he didn't get to choose his own code name.
I mean, sure. Who knows?
I'm a sentient gas, so they call me fuckwit. It's so weird.
Maybe he just really likes Dumb and Dumber, right? Like, maybe he was just like, sure, let's get into it. I like this Jim Carrey joint. But his suit gets clipped, so like he's going to be leaking gas for the rest of the issue.
Yep. Everyone's freaking out. Angel is like showing her expertise. Like, I know these guys. They'll kill you like stomping on a roach. Like, she knows they're serious business. Zorn says, leave the equipment, go, and tells the kids to run.
Yeah. And they run until they get to the side of a cliff where Zorn tells them, we don't need to run anymore. You stay here. I'm going to go like deal with this, but wait for me. And when he's gone, the kids kind of have to learn to fend for themselves. And out of nowhere, Beak is kind of taking the leadership role and trying to get some stuff together. Like, he wants Angel to go fly for help. And he's like trying to get basically everybody organized so that they could possibly fight back, which is like out of character for Beak, but a cool character moment for Beak.
Oh yeah, like he's showing a little bit of leadership because he pays attention in class and he's a nerd. He's talking about that. They teach us this in assembly. The dummy's making this hissing noise. He's escaping, and it smells bad. Beak's like, oh, that stink. It smells like egg and Parmesan cheese. And Basilisk's like, no, that's dummy. The smell is him escaping the air. He's an intelligent gas. Basilisk calls him a smart fart here because that's Basilisk.
But is it HomeKit compatible? Is my question. Can I use my iPhone to control it?
The Internet of Dummy. Basilisk questions are like, hey, why are you the leader? Like, who made you the leader? He's like, you did by not doing anything. You guys make me look like the X-Men.
And I love Basilisk's response of like, we're supposed to be the losers. That's the point of us. Like, that's why we're here. And I love, because like, there's no way that's true. Like, do I look like a loser? And then there's just in the middle of this panic is a moment of like a pause where everybody looks at him and he's like, you know what? Never mind. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Yeah,
exactly. I love it. Basilisk, you're never going to be X-Men material. Angel's here because she likes the taste of finger licking frozen chicken, basically. And, Beak is like, well, I don't know what to do. Go get help. Angel sends Angel to go fly away. Angel can fly now.
And Dummy is continually to leak more, and he's begging for help. Like, please help me. I don't want to leak away. And I love Basilisk's lines like, "I never saw a human fart die in front of me anymore." But Beak has the winning answer, which is to use a condom to hold it up to stop this leaking from this cut.
Yeah. And he's just like, aha. And everyone's just like, whoa. Again, like just earlier when the Stepford Cuckoos were talking about their sister who died, who had sex with Stuff. And she's like, she has had sex before, though. Unlike we, it's kind of like centers that I think Grant Morrison is good at writing the teens, like a teen, having sex with a teen. Pretty impressive. Cool thing to do.
No, absolutely.
Everyone's psyched for it.
Mm-hmm. From the woods, a U-Man approaches and Basilisk notices, but first says like, if I save us, what do I get out of it? Which one of you will be my bride? And I can't. Why am I so bad with names today?
Martha or Ernst.
Yeah. Ernst says that Martha is saying like, oh, no girl will go on a date with you. Like if you go do all of this stuff, like you could use that. And sure enough, he walks over and uses his power, which seems to be just like a blast of energy of some kind, like some sort of light.
Yeah, it freezes people. It's a blast of light that he has in his head. We didn't really talk about Basilisk, but he's got this like where his eye should be is this huge, ridiculous hole. And he's very deformed and kind of mutated, looks kind of ugly. So he takes out the U-Man who's approaching them. We cut over, just a great cut. I love the facial work here. Because like Frank Whiteley is a wonderful artist of Angel looking in horror at something with fire reflected in her eyes. And you see this dialogue. We find out this is Zorn. Sometimes the teacher must leave to make room for learning. And he starts kind of doing this the Breakfast Club kind of thing. Like Beak dreamed of respect. Ernst could find no one to be responsible for. Basilisk had no focus for his energy. For Dummy, there's no community. And for you, Angel, this will be our secret. And one of my favorite panels in the run is Zorn turning around and doing the shh to Angel. And what we see behind him is that he has just absolutely slaughtered these U-Men.
Yes.
Like flipped their truck. They're all dead horribly on the ground.
His helmet that is holding on at the start in his mind is literally smoking. Like its steam is coming off of the back and out of the eyes. And the shush motion is a great panel. And then this will be our secret is like the way that it's in shadow. Like his teeth look like he has this giant like rictus of a smile with like these jack-o'-lantern teeth.
Scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying, dude. And like that's right next to Angel's face where she's like, yes, sir. Like that's the most respect she's shown anybody at Xavier's this far, right? It's crazy.
Exactly. And this is the person like 2 pages ago we were sad because he was not getting, the kumbaya moment he wanted. This is really good foreshadowing, really good kind of just like giving you a creeping sense of unease around Zorn.
Yeah. What if he's not what he says he is? Like everything we know outright about Zorn up to this point is like he wouldn't do this at all. Like he wouldn't hurt a fly. He's dedicated his life to peace and he's a healer. So like what is this? Like where did this come from? We go back over to the kids and Basilisk is super excited to learn that no girl thinks that he has a nice smile. And Beak is like, hey, we've got to take care of this U-Man. Like he froze the U-Man, but that's not going to be enough. And picks up a giant rock and just smashes his head in. Like it's going to be like that looks vicious.
Oh yeah, it's real violent. Like somebody has to break the helmet like an egg and stun this guy. There's no stun. He crushed him. It's a huge thing. And this like again nice kind of moment where Basilisk is smiling and saying, nice smile. Just feeling some self-esteem. Like it's really nice.
Another just fun teenage moment of Beak saying like Mr. Summers is going to sue you for stealing the copyright to his power. Like
it's a cheap copy of Cyclops.
Very nice.
Yeah. Real good. Zorn and Angel come back. They're like, we caught one. Martha said she sent a mind alarm to Miss Frost. And he just says basically like, I'm very proud of you. The U-Men will leave you alone. And they, are probably thinking that, that Zorn went and talked him down. Because he's Zorn, but Angel knows the truth.
Yes. And Basilisk says like, hey, maybe you can now, or like, I'd like to meet my new girl, my fiance. Notably, like, and I thought this was really weird. Zorn is like, oh, I was searching all the wrong frequencies for you. There you are. Like kind of implying that she does exist and is not just a joke after all, or just playing along with Basilisk because who cares?
Yeah, it's ambiguous at this point. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like No Girl maybe shows up later in X-Men stuff, but like here it is ambiguous. And there's a very touching panel. This rescue helicopter shows up and Zorn puts his hands on Basilisk and Beak's shoulders and says, "Welcome to the special class."
Yeah,
To
really
No
good.
Girl. Like, it's very sweet.
Back at the school, they are waiting for open day to happen. I guess they're all about to go out or something. I'm not really sure what they're doing because everybody is super dressed up at this point in kind of an unusual way. So I don't know what's
It's like a gala.
Okay.
I think it's like a pre-open day gala.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
Slightly ajar night.
the Stepford Cuckoos are there, and Beast asks them like, "Why is your hair done up with like this like this hairstyle that I keep seeing?" And they respond like, "Quentin is the one responsible for setting the trend, and we're just keeping up with it. But we don't want to talk about him. Like we are for sure thinking that he's going to disrupt Open Day somehow."
Yeah, he's a particularly unpleasant boy with BO. And Quentin is no longer putting on deodorant.
Oh,
Now that
definitely
he's a
not.
kid.
Like if he was before, like big question
Yeah,
mark.
and who knows?
Yeah.
Like that would be beneath him before.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier says like we've been wise to trust your intuitions before. Where is he? I'd like to speak to him. They try to get they say like, "Hey, was he in your precognition class today, Emma?" And Emma's like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me, I was miles away, spacing out," because she's in the psychic realm making out with Scott Summers.
Hell yeah, psychic makeouts.
Psychic makeouts.
In the helicopter, like Zorn is like, "Hey, Scott, are you okay? You're like not talking, and your dick is rock hard. Is everything cool?"
He's scanning the frequencies of this bulge in your pants.
And Scott's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a little out of it. I'm miles away," like using the same kind of thing. I love the shot of Emma in the back seat of the car as they're like driving to this gala because she just looks like she's about to have an orgasm. Like she's looked like she's sitting on top of a Sibian or something. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, this is weird resting horny face Emma. And all the girls, like this is the foreshadowing, the Cuckoos do not like this.
No, not at
They're all
all.
staring at her. Xavier's still oblivious to all of that. The idea of an anti-human protest tomorrow is unthinkable. We're trying to attract human students. Last thing we need is some lunatic movement arising to fill the ideological void left by the death of Magneto.
Yes.
Again, foreshadowing. We cut to later after the gala or what have you. And Xavier is walking back to his room. "Thank you for a very enjoyable and amusing evening. I'll be shutting down my thoughts until tomorrow."
Thanks, Siri.
Yeah.
You fucking weirdo. Talk like a human. Jesus.
He walks into his office where he has been ambushed by the Omega gang. We're all
Yes.
standing around, ball bat in the head,
Mm-hmm.
fucked up. And there's again great dialogue here. Like Glob Herman's like, "So what happens when the X-Men turn up to kick our asses?" And he's like, "Bring them on. We have all night to prepare." Radiant says, "Well, Wolverine's all yours, bro."
And Quentin has like reversed engineered Magneto's helmet, and instead of creating it so that instead of the helmet keeping thoughts out, which is what Magneto used it for, it's keeping all of Xavier's thoughts in, so he can't use his telekinetic abilities. And then he goes into a big long villain speech, basically saying like, "We have to do it Magneto's way and exterminate the entire human race, and we're going to do it in front of the cameras. We're going to wait till you open up your school, and we're going to do it there." And that's when they start breaking into the X-Men labs, and Tattoo is like, "I smell kick." Like they're just going straight for the drugs.
Yep. And the idea that Magneto's helmet would stop Professor Xavier from using his powers is really clever, and I'm surprised it hasn't shown up.
Me too. Yeah, it's a real clever like use, especially because of Quentin's like adoration of Magneto.
Yeah.
Just being able to like, I wonder if this will work. And it also kind of a sign that like Quentin does have a lot of potential. Like he's a really smart kid. Like he actually, I mean, like he could be like a super smart kid and has the potential to be a hero and help people. But he's just on drugs and has some ideas.
On drugs and has having an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Over the next day it's open day.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are everybody's walking towards the school when Quentin makes his announcement that they have taken Professor X hostage and they are hijacking the corrupt and reactionary Xavier Institute. We demand nothing less than year zero for mutant kind. Try the humans for their crimes. School's out. Riot.
Yep. And that's the end of the issue.
Yeah.
So great moment. Really cool issue. Again, like I love the special class stuff. It's touching and cool.
Yes, it's very good. And again, like we've poured a lot of sugar on this arc, and I think like it just keeps getting better. Like I think we're 4. This is 3 out of 5, if I remember correctly, and and it's just like everything is escalating in a really good way. And we mentioned this, I think, in the last episode. The stakes are still pretty small here. Like he's talking about exterminating the human race, but he's doing it with an audience of about 50 people max, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not interrupting a national broadcast to talk about and like or breaking into the nuclear mountain base or anything. Like he's just telling this like the people that are showing up to this like event at Xavier Institute.
It's a very teenage rebellion, right? Like, and the X-Men handle it. This is the X-Men themselves are not in danger throughout this. And we're going to see that mostly in the next issue, right? But because they had this blind spot and let this fester, there are huge consequences.
Yeah.
Lives are lost because this, again, I keep saying it, but like, this is not the kind of conflict the X-Men are equipped to deal with.
Not at all.
They can put it down, and they do handily, but that's not the goal, and again, plays in these larger themes of this issue of like, the old way of doing things for the X-Men is not correct. The X-Men have to start thinking of new solutions. They have to be the new X-Men in every way, not just in terms of like style and fashion and things like that, but also like their approach to problem solving. And this is a really great arc for underlining that theme that like the old, let's punch the bad guys until they stop being bad guys is dumb, and is not is outmoded.
Yes. And like to bring, and especially like the fact that like a student of Xavier's, like a promising student of Xavier's, is the one to kick this catalyst off, because it just kind of underlines the limitations in Xavier's thinking sometimes, where he's so convinced that his method is the one true way that it's really, really difficult for him to change his mind and do something new. Like think about it, like the biggest thing the biggest motivation he's had to change anything was his like dead twin sister coming back from the alien property cloud that she lived in and killing 16 million people. Like, I'm just saying, it takes a while to get through Xavier's skull, right?
Yeah, Xavier's a little slow. For all of his qualities, he's a little slow. So thanks for listening.
Yeah.
To this episode.
If you want to support the show, the best way to do it is patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can give us a couple of bucks there. It goes a long way to supporting this show and the network in general. You also get a lot of cool stuff from it. You can get episodes early. You can get exclusive content. You can get access to the Slack channel. Just all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely go check it out.
Yep. The other thing you can do is ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts are very appreciated. Telling your friends, tweeting about it, blogging about it, all that stuff. We really appreciate you.
We just got a really nice review in today, as a matter of fact. I saw it this morning, and it said that they were extremely happy with the new format change. So thank you for that feedback, person whose name I forgot as soon as I read it.
Well, it's okay. And I did not read your review. I've had to cut myself off, but I still appreciate it. It still helps, even if I don't read them.
We'll be back in a couple of days with more Riot at Xavier's.